as I mentioned earlier, there are two programs that our charity, Orange County Youth Sports Foundation, focuses on, and that's grants and scholarships. Can I have Tom Murphy please stand up? Tom? Tom is our committee chairman, does a fantastic job with overseeing our grants and doing the research and homework. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of attending a dinner with our next guest, with the BOSS program, which is the Business of Student Services. And during that dinner, I watched this gentleman and his group honor and reward some very, very special young people, some student athletes. And I would tell you that after you attend a dinner like that Tom and I were at, you're very, very hopeful and positive and optimistic about the future. I'd like to introduce a gentleman, retired attorney, sports agent, who gave throughout his career, created this program post-career, has so many people on board, teaching and mentoring some very, very special young people. It's my privilege and pleasure to introduce Mr. Everett Glenn.
Good evening. Can I have your attention, please? I would first like to thank the Orange County Youth Sports Foundation and Tom Murphy for their support of our program. As Tim mentioned, the BOSS program is a year-round program for under-resourced boys. Started in middle school. In the 6 years that we have been in existence, we have graduated 77 boys, and 75 of them are pursuing post-secondary education in schools like Stanford and UCLA. But I don't think Tom knew, but he asked me to come here and say a few words. I was actually Mr. Relevant in 1952. Seriously, I was Mr. Relevant in 1952, right? That was the year I was born. Well, seriously though, right? And I was born in inner city Cleveland to an alcoholic dad and a stay-at-home mom, right? And there was failure written on my forehead just because of the color of my skin and the neighborhood that I grew up in, right? And but I identified this guy named Mark McCormick. He started a firm called ING in Cleveland, Ohio. And I decided when I was about 12 years old, I wanted to be like Mark McCormick, right? And I found out he was a lawyer. He wasn't just a regular lawyer, he's a business lawyer. So I followed this guy. True story. From the time I was 12 years old, and then I decided I wanted to represent pro athletes. And my first client was a gentleman named Clark Kellogg, who was from Cleveland, Ohio, who they called the next Magic and the first LeBron James, right? True story, hold on a second. And I decided, I was Mr. Relevant in 1952, but in 1983, I competed against Mark McCormick for the business of Clark Kellogg, right? And that's when I became relevant in 1982, and I represented Clark Kellogg, and I was going to represent Richard Dent and Reggie White and Jerry Rice and all sorts of guys, right? So, and back then, I believed that getting drafted high was important, but that's because I was in the business of representing the guys, right? And I couldn't make money if you were Mr. Relevant, right? So I was looking for the first round draft pick, right? But today I know greatness isn't determined by where you start, right? It's forged by what you do after the cameras go off. And again, I was Mr. Irrelevant in 1952, 1983. I became relevant, and I've been relevant ever since. And I'm showing young men how to become relevant.